Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, get your keyboards ready because we're going to be tapping all these different letters trying to hack into computer systems. Today we are hackers, but mostly it's going to be mono-y mono. We're going to be trying to hack each other as this is called Hack Trick. It is a quick 15-minute sort of micro card game where there's only about 18 cards in the deck. It's mainly designed as a two-player game with variants of 3 and 4. Let's take a look. I'll show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. Hack Trick's designed as a two-player game, one side with the red tokens, one side with the white tokens. What you're trying to do is if I'm the red player, I'm trying to get either 3 in a row, either up and down, like that, diagonally, horizontally, or I can put 3 on the same number and win. The other player is trying to stop me and do the same thing. Let me show you how it's played. This game has 18 cards in it, that's it. There are 3 of every number, 0 through 5. So 3 zeros, 3 fives, 3 everything, 18 cards. Let's say the red player is the dealer. They give 4 cards to his opponent, 3 to himself. 2 cards come off the top of the deck. And then the player that has 4 will take one of his cards. He will personally select which one. He'll look at his cards and select one of them and place one there. They both have 3 cards. They each tell each other the sum of this. So these would be kept secret. But for example, I would just say 7, and these would be secret. He would do the same. Now on your turn, most of the time what will happen is you'll play a card. So I've got these cards, these would be secret, I'd select them. And what I do is I play a card, and the only rule here is it cannot be the same number of the last card there. So I could not play this 2 because there's already a 2 there. But I could play this 1, and then what I do is I add this card and this card together. That's a 3. I take one of my markers, I put on a 3, it's the next player's turn. They would then obviously have their cards in their hand, and they would go something like maybe this. 5 and 1 is 6. They would take one of their markers, and they would put it there. We both only have 2 cards now. So let's say for my next card, I throw down this 1. 1 and 5 is 6. He's already got a 6 there. I would place my marker and take his and capture it on my side of the table. Now this guy, instead of playing a card, he can draw a card for his turn. So he would just take this and draw it, and he would obviously look at it, and then it would be my turn again. And maybe I do the same thing because I'm low, unless I have a good card to play, which maybe I do. So I have a 4 and a 1. I'll take this, and I'll put it there. Now remember, you can also go in the same spot. So later on, if I was able to put a 1 here, it'd be 1 plus 4 is 5. I could go there, and you're trying to get 3 here or 3 in a row. Now on a future turn, because I have captured one of his markers, optionally at the beginning of my turn, I can get rid of this marker off the table and ask this player to give me the sum of these cards. So he would add any of the cards he has, no matter how many he has, and he would do that and I would know. And then I would do my move like normal. Maybe I would draw a card. Now, you can only draw a card if you have less than 4 cards. If you have 4 cards already, you wouldn't be able to draw. Now, if it was the red player's turn again, in addition to, say, playing a card, he can also take one of his own markers and take them out of play, and then he has 2 options. This is in addition to a normal turn. He can basically tell this play, and that means that this player has to play a card on his next turn. Conversely, I can put this out, and instead of saying play, I could say block. And what this means is that on the next player's turn, he cannot turn this in and tell me to play on purpose. So basically block someone from forcing you to play, or you can force someone else to play by taking out your own marker. Also know that this is risky because at the end of the game, if it gets down to the point where you run out of all your markers, you lose the game automatically. Now let's say that on a future turn, the red player places this marker here. Each player has 1 marker that's twice the size of all the others. It's just twice as tall, puts it there. And let's say later on in a future turn, he actually wins and is able to put a 6 there. He would win this game and we would go to scoring because it's 3 on any 1 or any 3 in any row, diagonal, or column. Now if I win and this large one was not there, I would get 1 point. If I won and this was not the last piece I placed there, meaning it wasn't just the end of the game, but it was either the first or the second there, I would get 2 points. If my opponent runs out of markers, I would get 1 point. And you play to 5 points. once the round is done and scored, essentially you take all the cards, you shuffle them back up, and you swap dealers. Now there is an advanced variant to the game, and this uses these code cards. So this game goes to 6 points instead of 5, and when you win, depending on how many points you got that round, that's how many cards of these you would take, and these have some special abilities. And so what happens is, essentially after it's shuffled, each player will place their card face down. After the cards are dealt out, each player will put one of their cards face up to see what the code is, and each player can use their own code card once. For example, it's also a simple victory if you collect 3 captured markers. Or it's also a victory and is worth 3 points if you form a 3-digit password using the numbers 1, 2, 8, and 9. So it gives you a little bit more focus there. It's also a simple victory if you place your marker on the key where you already have your bigger marker. You can ask the sum of the opponent's hand using your own marker too, instead of just the other ones. You can get information about your opponent's hand by using a captured marker and trading one of your cards. You draw one out of his hand and give one to yours. So different ways of playing the game essentially. Now in the 3-player variant, essentially it's 1 player's the dealer versus 2 people. And there's some little rules like, it goes basically dealer, and then one of the other teammates, dealer, and then the other teammates. And the dealer can have 4 cards, the members can have 3 cards, and different rules, but essentially it's 1 versus 2 with the 3-player game. And in the 4-player, essentially 2 versus 2. People sitting across from each other will use the same markers. Everyone can only have 3 cards in your hand, and at the beginning a player can ask the sum of his hand, but he has to say it out loud, and it's a team versus team game. Alright, so Hack Trick is a very tactical style game with some deduction, right? So it is that micro game because there's only 18 cards in there, and you know the cards you have in your hand, you know the cards that are out there, and you can see what they're doing, and sometimes you can play one of your little markers there and get the sum of the cards in their hand, and so you can kind of deduce what they might have in their hands, which may change what you're going to do because you're trying to get 3 in a row or block them. And so it's very much a deduction game with a little bit of a memory element to it as well, and trying to think a little bit forward, but you can't always think too far forward because it's very tactical back and forth, and you may have to react to people. So if you like 2-player card games that are very tactical, have deduction elements, it's kind of brain burnery for how simple the game is. I mean, this is high on my depth to complexity ratio. It's very simple to learn, but there's a lot of depth there trying to figure out what to do when do I drop that one with the big hand with the 2 tokens, when do I force them to play versus when not. So it's very simple rules, but there's a lot of depth here for a 2-player strategy tactical card game. Now there are those variants for 3 and 4 players. I mean this was designed as a 2-player game, and I still enjoy it the best as a 2-player game. For 3 and 4s, it's okay, it's not bad, but I personally like the one-on-one better. Having those extra powers is good. I know some of the earlier versions of this game didn't have this, but all the ones being sold now have those extra code powers. Livens the game up, changes it up a bit, gives a little bit more depth again to it. So all in all, not a bad game. You gotta like sort of brain burnery thinking, deduction, numbers types of games. If you don't like those, you probably won't like this. But if you like 2-player games that are quick, have quick rules, easy to teach, easy to learn, but have a lot of depth, have a lot of brain burning things to just stare and think about and do some mathematics, then this is one you're going to want to probably check out, and that's Hack Trick.